Welcome to On a Darker Note. Today we will be looking into the case of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell and their horrific murders of the two children and Chad's wife. But before we start, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you enjoy videos on true crime and history. Lori Vallow Daybell was born Lori Noreen Cox on the 26th of June 1973 in San Bernardino, California. At the age of 19, she married her high school sweetheart Nelson Yanes in 1992, but the two shortly divorced. 3 years later, in 1995, she married William Legiola. They had one son together, Colby Ryan, before divorcing in 1996. She then married her third husband, Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr., in 2001, and he legally adopted Colby before having a daughter named Tylee in 2002. They divorced in 2005 and Joseph died in 2018 of an apparent heart attack. He still had Lori listed as his next of kin, but his family were only told of his death 5 weeks later when no one claimed him. By 2006, Lori had married Leland Anthony Vallow, who went by the name Charles. He had 2 sons from a previous marriage and the couple adopted his grandnephew, JJ. He converted to the LDS Church for Lori after being a lifelong Catholic. By 2019, he filed for divorce, saying Lori was making threats to his life if he got in the way of her mission. During 2018, while still married to Charles, she met Chad Daybell after becoming a fan of his books in 2015. They met at a Preparing a People event where Chad told her they had been married in the past 7 lives. Chad Daybell was born on 11th of August 1968 in Provo, Utah. He married Tammy Douglas in 1970 and the pair had 5 children together. He graduated with a BA in journalism from Brigham Young and worked as both a copy editor and a gravedigger. He published his first book in 1999 when he left his grave-digging job to focus on his writing. His books were aimed at the Latter-day Saint audience, and he often wrote about apocalyptic themes or dystopian futures. He said he had 2 near-death experiences which allowed him to see into the future. He claimed his books were not fiction, but events that will one day happen. He said, "I don't fictionalize any of the events portrayed. I'm really not that creative. My torn veil allows information to be downloaded into my brain from the other side. The scenes I am shown are real events that will happen." By the late 2000s, the family weren't doing well financially, but eventually business picked up when Chad gained a following from people concerned by the second coming of Christ. One of these people was Lori Vallow. Lori was described as a doting mother and a devoted follower of the LDS Church. But when she met Chad, her behaviour changed and she became obsessed with his theories, with her family calling it crazy. In February 2019, Lori phoned up Charles to tell him she didn't care about him or JJ anymore. She said she was the reincarnation of the wife of Joseph Smith, a founder of the LDS Church. This was when Charles filed for divorce. On the 11th of July 2019, Charles was shot and killed by Lori's brother Alex Cox. Alex claimed self-defense after Charles hit him with a bat. Alex had gone round initially to confront Charles about abusing Lori. The incident was not pursued any further. On the 9th of October 2019, Chad's wife Tammy had reported she was shot at whilst on her drive by a defective paintball gun. 10 days later, she was found dead from suspected natural causes. Chad refused an autopsy at the time and received $430,000 from her life insurance payout. During this time, Lori's 2 children, Tylee and JJ, had gone missing. Tylee was last seen at the Yellowstone National Park on the 8th of September 2019 with Lori, JJ and Alex. She was 16 years old and had attended Perry High School in Gilbert, Arizona. She was described as a loving and kind person who enjoyed spending her time with family and friends and had a love for animals, especially horses. Not long after, on the 23rd of September, JJ was last seen at Rexburg's Kennedy Elementary School. The next day, on what would have been Tylee's 17th birthday, Lori contacted the school to say she would be homeschooling JJ from then on. JJ was 7 years old and for the first 10 months of his life was cared for by his grandparents until Lori and Charles adopted him. When Lori moved the family to Idaho to be closer to Chad, Tylee's best friend said she didn't want to go, but only went to protect JJ. Colby Ryan received 2 Venmo payments from Tylee in the October of 2019, and when he expressed concern for her via text, she insisted she was okay, but too busy to talk on the phone to him. By November 2019, Chad and Lori were married just 2 weeks after Tammy's death. They moved to a gated community in Hawaii using the life insurance check from Tammy. They told neighbours that Tylee had died in 2017 and Lori had no other children. JJ's grandparents put in a welfare check and police visited Lori on the 26th of November. She said he was in Arizona with a friend, Melanie Gibb, but when contacted by police, Gibb said that she hadn't seen JJ for months. That night, Lori and Alex packed up her truck, and when police and FBI arrived the next day, the house had been abandoned. Gibb then contacted police, stating that Lori and Chad had asked her to lie about JJ's whereabouts, but she had refused. This led police to look deeper into the family and realised that Tylee was also missing. JJ's grandparents offered a $20,000 reward for his return. Lori was refusing to cooperate, while Chad's lawyer released a statement saying he had the full support of his own children and Lori was a devoted mother. On the 20th of February 2020, Lori was arrested in Hawaii for 2 felony accounts of desertion and non-support of dependent children and 3 misdemeanors. She was extradited back to Idaho, where her bond was set at $1 million. On the 24th of March, it was revealed by NBC News that Lori believed her children were possessed and had become zombies. She believed that she and Chad were on a mission to eradicate zombies before the second coming of Christ. They thought a zombie was when someone's mortal spirit had left them and the body was repossessed by a darker spirit. Lori had also told her niece, Melanie Boudreau Pawlowski, that her child Brandon was also a zombie and that he needed to die. It was also revealed that during the divorce proceedings between Lori and Charles, Lori had told him she was a god assigned to carry out the work of the 144,000 at Christ's second coming in the July of 2020, and if Charles got in her way, she would kill him. During these investigations, the police decided to exhume Tammy's body, and an autopsy revealed that she had been killed by asphyxiation from another person. By the 9th of June, police had searched Chad's property and found human remains in his pet cemetery. He was arrested for obstruction or concealment of evidence and felony murder with a bail of $1 million. The next day, family confirmed that the remains found were sadly JJ and Tylee. The non-support charges were dropped against Lori and replaced with obstruction or concealment of evidence with her children's remains. Her bond was then lowered to $150,000. The following year, on the 25th of May 2021, Chad and Lori were indicted on conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft by deception for the deaths of Tylee, JJ and Tammy. Chad faced charges on insurance fraud after Tammy's death, while Lori was charged with grand theft related to Social Security survivor benefits from her children. 2 days later, Lori was found unfit to stand trial. Details on why and her treatment were not released. She was then declared fit another year later, in April 2022. On the 21st of March 2023, the judge removed the death penalty for Lori. She was found guilty of all charges on the 12th of May and sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms. The judge told her, "The most unimaginable type of murder is to have a mother murdering her own children, and that's exactly what you did." Before her sentencing, Lori told the court that Jesus knows her and she mourns her children and Tammy. She claims to have nearly died while giving birth to Tylee, and so she can communicate to the dead and Jesus from this. She said her children and Tammy are happy and called Tammy her eternal friend. Chad waived his right to a speedy trial and so won't be tried until 1st of April 2024. He is charged with the 3 murders, conspiracy to commit murder, and conspiracy to commit grand theft by deception. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges, and the death penalty is still an option for his punishment. The hearings for his trial are set to start on the 29th of November. Lori has since appealed her sentencing, with her attorney claiming there are over a dozen issues with the case. Some can be found on the screen now if you wish to pause. Appeals can take years to go through, so it may be some time before we hear an outcome on this one. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that Chad will be charged with the death penalty? And what are your opinions on Laurie appealing her charge? If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to hear more.